make millions of dollars a year trading cryptocurrencies, and in this video, I'm going to be revealing and showing you my entire strategy and system for free. If you guys want to learn how to grow your crypto portfolio accounts every single year massively, make sure you watch this video into its entirety and that you guys give this video a thumbs up. And comment below if you guys got anything out of this video once you finish watching it. My strategy is the oldest trading strategy in the book, and it's based around the phrase buy low and sell high. That's simply my strategy, and that's all I do 90% of the time. This strategy helps me make 7 figures a year, and eventually I'm gonna be making 8 figures and even 9 figures a year doing this same strategy, because once you perfect it, you're gonna keep growing and scaling your accounts every single year rapidly at a convex pace. Now, to break down this strategy in a very simple way to understand, we're not gonna be trading Bitcoin mostly, we're gonna be trading mostly altcoins. But Bitcoin will crash about once every single month, and then it will crash very big once every 3 months, and maybe 1 or 2 times out of the year, it will crash massively in most cases. Some years are a little bit different, and that is based on the 4-year cycles, the halving cycles, which typically Bitcoin will be in a bull market for 3 years, and out of the 4 years, there'll be 1 year exactly, give or take, of a bear market, which means a downtrend. So for 3 years, Bitcoin's in an uptrend, and for 1 year out of the 4-year cycles, that 4-year period, Bitcoin is in a downtrend for 1 year, where it's going to be going down literally for 1 year and then bottoming and then going up slowly for 3 years. Now, the way it works, as I mentioned, Bitcoin will crash about once a month, sometimes 2 times a month. And the crash is not going to always be massive. There will be a pullback, essentially. Bitcoin will pull back. No matter how bullish or bearish the market is, there's going to be some type of flush crash, correction, pullback at least once per month. But in more bullish conditions, this can be lessened. But these very strong bullish conditions are very short periods of time within these 4-year cycles, where Bitcoin and cryptos will pump up for about a month, maybe 2 months, and keep going up aggressively. But eventually they're going to crash hard. We are going to make the majority of our money waiting for Bitcoin to crash. And once it bottoms and we think Bitcoin has reached the bottom, we start scaling in and buying altcoins. What we do is we have a portfolio, a crypto portfolio of US dollar or Tether stablecoins, whatever it is in stablecoins. It is in a method or currency where we can buy cryptos. So what we do is when we think Bitcoin has crashed or reached the bottom, we start scaling in. That means we're not going to be putting our whole 100% of our account on that trade and all these altcoins once we think Bitcoin crashes. What we do is we start scaling in. Once we think the bottom is in, then we buy 10% to 30%. And the more conviction we have, the more of our portfolio do we put in on the crash. And we're doing so into altcoins. Depending on your experience, you're going to be able to discern as a trader over the years of how much you should be putting onto your trades, how much you should be adding at the bottom, and how much you should be scaling in. All of that will come with time when you start to perfect it. But again, you're never going to be perfect at catching bottoms. You will catch bottoms and tops here and there, but it's not going to be consistently perfect no matter how good of a trader you are. This is because the market is always changing and moving differently, but it still is always going to go from discount into premium, from support to resistance. It's always going to do that no matter how bullish or bearish the market is. So once we identify a bottom, a potential bottom or a place where Bitcoin is going to be bouncing, we start scaling into cryptos like XRP, Solana, Ethereum. We're buying altcoins because when Bitcoin crashes about 10%, 10 to 30%, altcoins will crash a lot more than what Bitcoin crashes. But after altcoins start crashing 30 to 50%, even up to 70 or 80%, that is when they start to get to an area where they start to bounce. Once Bitcoin bottoms and starts trending up or going up again, they start to bounce 2x or 50% or 80% in a very short period of time. So if you're putting a big chunk of your portfolio at the bottom, diversified into different altcoins that are in different sectors and on different networks, you have a very good chance at scalping and scraping some of the profits from these aggressive altcoin bounces and then taking profits. So we buy low and sell high. After Bitcoin bounces and starts topping out or pulling back and looking like it's about to correct, it's a good time to start taking profits on these altcoins. And it's also a good time to start taking profits on altcoins once they bounce up very aggressively, because in most cases, altcoins will, after a strong bounce, pull back again. So you can always re-enter and keep trading the move up higher. Now, some things that can help you find the bottom on Bitcoin of a potential crash is two indicators that you want to use. They are both free. One is called the EMA, or exponential moving average, and you're gonna wanna go into the settings of your EMA and make sure that the length is 20. So it's a 20 EMA, which is an average of the last 20 candles of that particular period. Also, you're gonna wanna be using the RSI. You're going to want to wait for the 1 hour time frame to reach an oversold level and start to bounce up and trend up. And also with the EMA, you're going to want to see Bitcoin holding and closing above it on the 1 hour time frame. That is an indication that the selling has stopped and could be a good bottom forming. The more aggressive you enter, obviously the more profits you can make, but if you enter too aggressively, experiencing a lot of drawdown. If you are more patient and you wait for these bottom signals to occur, you will have a lot less drawdown and always be making profits. And it's really hard to lose in spot when you are buying after Bitcoin has crashed and after altcoins have crashed massively. The chances are for the market to bounce up very, very high. I personally do not recommend stop losses, nor do I recommend selling altcoins unless we are in some type of crazy bear market, crazy strong downtrend where you can take a loss, wait for it to bottom out, and then re-enter to make up your losses back. Always be patient when you enter and allow the market to end up playing out, because most of the times that you want to exit or cut your positions for a loss, that's actually going to be where the market's going to most likely reverse. Now that you are using the 1 hour time frame, you could also follow it up with the 4 hour time frame and the daily time frame. These time frames are very important. They're going to help you to have an overall picture. So when you are making trades, also consider the 4 hour time frame and the 1 hour and the daily all together, looking at them all together and getting a good idea of what is going on in the market. Now, a good exit strategy, for instance, when you buy a coin and you start to see on the 20 EMA, that 1 hour time frame, we're starting to break and close under, it's very likely that that strong uptrend, that pattern of buyers, the imbalance of buyers versus seller is changing and flipping bearish. And that's where people are starting to take profits. That's a good time to consider exiting and taking profits. You only want to be a buyer as long as the 1 hour time frame is above the 20 EMA. And you want to be a seller and taking profits while that is the opposite. So if we're breaking and closing under the 20 EMA, it's likely that weakness is happening and we could also crash and go lower. Now on the 4 hour time frame, when you have a particular asset that you are trading and it reaches this overbought area, that can mean that there is a lot of strength left in the trade. But once you start to get into this area, this is going to be the most optimal time to be selling and taking profits. And especially on the daily time frame, when you reach that overbought area on the RSI and it starts to roll over and break down under, that is an exit. That's when you want to exit, because that's when the volume of that uptrend is ending and flipping and reversing. You want to be exiting there as well. So looking at the daily, the 4 hour, the 1 hour, all of these together are going to they're going to help you to see a clear picture of when to take profits, when to get in and out. And if you want to make the most money, you want to be aggressively taking profits, entering and taking profits. That's going to help you to make the most money, but also being patient and letting your trade play out. It does take days sometimes for your trades to end up playing out. Don't panic because it starts to dip a little bit. Just breathe and let the trade play out. Now, once you start to make your entries into altcoins, what you are going to want to look for is you're going to want to find altcoins that are very consistent, that every single crash, they're always bouncing very hard, very strong. These are the altcoins that you're going to want to trade. Some of these altcoins include XRP, Solana, Dogecoin, Dog with Hat, Fartcoin, Ethereum, Pepe, Cardano. These are coins that bounce really, really hard consistently every single time. And that's why as a trader, you should only be trading about 5 to 6 coins maximum. Master those coins, master their behaviors, and you're gonna end up making more profits. Now, some other things that you wanna pay attention to that are bottom signals is after a very big crash, you start to see that after a bottom is formed, we start forming higher lows. That's an indication that a bottom or reversal is taking place. And that's when you want to be adding more to your altcoin bags. Start looking up reversal patterns, bottom patterns, top patterns. All of these patterns can help you to recognize and see reversals and massive moves before they take place. For instance, market structure, honestly, and price action is all you need. You don't need indicators, but they can visually help you. To give you an example, what takes place when the market is moving up is you have higher highs and higher lows. But once the market starts to crash and reverse, you're going to start to see not higher highs and higher lows, but lower lows and lower highs. Once you start to recognize this early with a lower high, that's when you're going to want to also consider taking profits. And that's going to help you to secure the most profits, waiting, not just for the indicators to give you a signal, but waiting, more importantly, for market structure to start shifting. That's what an uptrend looks like, but a bottom, after a downtrend, you're going to start to see that a higher lows are starting to form. Higher highs are starting to form as well. Once you start to see these on the 1 hour time frame, that is an indication that a reversal is taking place and you want to keep adding more to your trade there. Once we start to see those signals that I've mentioned, I'm going to, depending on the market conditions and depending on Bitcoin, how it looks, is Bitcoin bottom? Is Bitcoin still crashing, going lower? I'm going to be adding 10% here. Like here's Cardano, Cardano's bottoming. I'm adding 10% here, 10% there, 10% there. Now my average is nearly break even once we start to get to this level. Then the bottom starts to form. I'm adding more and more and more, but I'm always going to leave about 20 to 30% left in my portfolio no matter what, because there are many times where everything looks like a bottom, but some type of black swan event comes out, some type of bad news comes out, and you're gonna wanna have cash to buy the dip, because during these crazy crashes is where altcoins can bounce 20 or 30% in a single candle or a single day. And you're gonna wanna have cash to buy those altcoins to make up for any losses and to even make massive profits once a lot of your altcoin bags start to get break even. Some other things you guys can use in my ALGOSNIPER trading indicator. This thing works really well on the 1 hour time frame and a bunch of other time frames, but the 1 hour is really, really good for beginners. You will get a sell alert at every single top before it crashes and a buy alert at every single bottom. And you guys can try today for just $1 at algosniper.com. In addition, if you guys want to follow my signals that have helped me make 7 figures and my community members every single year, join my WAP right below. And I also have a community within the WAP, the higher tier. It's $199 a month, where we have weekly live classes in my mentorship where I teach you guys how to trade and I teach you everything I know. If you guys are going to be trading, make sure you are trading over on Blofin. This is a actual trading platform. It has the cheapest fees. You don't want to be trading on Robinhood or Coinbase or any of these platforms. The fees are massive. You want to be using a real trading platform where they have simulated trading, so you could do paper trading and you could trade leverage up to 150x leverage, including spot trading and getting all the new meme coins as well. I do have other strategies that help me to make more money, and that's with leverage. But in this video, I'm just going to be sharing with you guys my spot trading strategy. And this is what makes me the majority of my money. Leverage is what helps me to, make some bills and pay some bills. And leverage is only 10% of my portfolio, but the majority of my money is made through spot. If you want to continue to make a lot of money in crypto, leverage is fast money. You can lose it very quickly. It's very risky. And if you don't know what you're doing, but when it comes to spot trading, you want to keep, no matter how much money you have, whether it's $500 or $1,000 or $10,000, with spot, you can keep growing it without really taking any losses. If you focus on some of the coins I mentioned and keep growing and scaling your account, eventually, I started just like you, $500 or $5,000, $2,500, started just like you, and I grew it into millions of dollars trading. You're going to be able to do the same thing if you consistently grow your money month after month, but you will need a mentor and you will need somebody that can actually do it to show you how to do it to get there. It's going to help you get there faster. Yes, you can do it by yourself, but it's going to take a lot longer because the mentor has already gone through the things that you need to learn very quickly and has it all ready for you right there and there. To get really good at trading, it does take many years, but to become profitable, if you have some skill already and you start focusing on narrowing your losses down, writing down your mistakes, journaling your mistakes, that's going to help you to grow faster, and you guys can become profitable in a year. With spot trading, you can become profitable much quicker. If you guys got anything out of this video, comment that you would like to see my leverage trading tutorial in the video and I'll make it for you guys next. That's it, and I'll see you later.